All right. Hope everybody's doing well. I have an update that I'm going to bring you as I get situated here. Give me 1 second, guys. I believe I've got it figured out. Give me 1 second. Get this party started. Okay, so the title of this video is XRP in trouble? Is XRP in trouble? Or are we about to take off? Is XRP going to spike, or is XRP going to crash? And so, I want to bring up to you what I mean by that. Now, I want to share the disclaimer here, guys. Okay. There's certain things that I'm not going to get into on this live stream because we only talk about certain things related to crypto price points that God has released prophetically inside my private community. However, I do want to bring you to the charts this evening, and this afternoon, and I'm going to share this with you because I believe that it is definitely in your best interest to see what is happening on the crypto charts in regards to XRP specifically. So if you go to the chart here on XRP, there's a couple things that are happening. Number one, we have a very large trend line here that you can see. And then, of course, we have the bottom trend line right here. We had a smaller formation right here, okay, where this top trend line is, as you can see. We broke above it, but it got resisted at this higher trend line. We are now back down inside this triangle. However, we are really, really close to it needing to do something. Is it going to hold? Is it going to break out? If it does, it has to then retest this resistance here. If it gets rejected, it's going to send it down. Now, I'm sharing this with you guys because I want you to see what's on the charts. Now, please understand, I need to be very, very clear that those inside my private community, we already know what we're stewarding. In fact, there may be some members inside my private community that might be stewarding a different direction than what I believe the Lord is speaking. But I felt it necessary to share it with you what is on the charts, okay? Now, I will tell you this. Based upon what the Lord has shown me and what I believe to be the Lord has shown me, please remember, I am not a financial advisor and I am not your crypto guru. My branding in crypto is my DeFi guru, meaning I am my DeFi guru, nobody else's. I made that on purpose because that is the disclaimer inside my branding. But what's interesting is that I believe that the Lord has been speaking to me concerning crypto. Others would agree with that. Then again, others might not. However, we've seen many things come to pass, including this ridiculous maneuver right here. One of the most profound moves on the charts. God showed me this 5 months prior. And we saw this play out with exceptional accuracy. But there's other things that he shared with me as well, including that, XRP would take off in 2024, which it did. However, all right, I'm back. Praise the Lord. All right, so good night. What is going on with the streaming software? There we go. Sorry, guys. Yeah, my streaming software, ironically, is trying to act up now. But anyhow, let me remove this real quick. Hopefully this will fix or prevent some further challenges. But, there's going to be some things that we don't talk about publicly that are only limited to my private community, which, of course, the link for the private community is inside the description section that you can find below the video if you're on YouTube, above the video if you're on Facebook. However, what I'm going to tell you is this. It is my personal belief. It is my personal belief, based upon some of the things that the Lord has shown me, that if you have risk capital available, that the price points that we are currently at on XRP, where am I at? Trying to share my screen now. The price points that we are currently at on XRP, which is now, as of today, $1.42. It is my personal belief. It is my personal belief that you would have the ability to purchase XRP at what I believe to be a discount for the near future. Now, there's a lot of people who believe that. However, I think that there's a lot of people who have no idea what is coming down the pike. And I mean that very boldly. I believe there's a lot of people that simply have no idea what's coming down the pike. Now, God has shown me specifically multiple crypto moves, where I'm supposed to do this, then I'm supposed to do that, then I'm supposed to do this, then I'm supposed to do that, then I'm supposed to do this. I have a whole sequence of things that I believe the Lord has shown me specific to the crypto markets that we've all discussed inside my private community. However, just for the purpose of what I am able to share today, that I believe it is beneficial personally, based upon what I feel like the Lord has shown me, that XRP, even if it were to go down today, tomorrow, or whatever, I believe we are getting it at a discount even in the near future. But I have to show you this today, what's on the charts, because this is a very, very big deal. And I want to make sure you see this once again for those who are tuning in late or what have you. But this is this very large trend line that we have been seeing that has begun forming since July of 2025. And you can see all of the line of resistance that it has followed on the daily chart. And then you have this smaller trend line that has been operating here on a smaller scale since roughly January 31st of this year. And so we've been operating inside of this triangle here until the 10th of May, 3 days ago, when it began to break out. It was a sustained breakout. But when it broke out, it got resisted by this longer trend line, which knocked us back down into a very aggressive position. Now, for those of you guys who understand, technical analysis, and please understand, I am not, number one, a financial advisor, nor am I a professional technical analyst. But what I do know is that when you are inside this type of a triangle formation, it actually can break to the upside or the downside. Now, there's other things that you look at to increase or decrease the probability of whatever direction you believe it's going to go based upon just this. You got to look at other factors, but that's what I'm not going to get into because I'm not, at that skill level. However, even if you just want a basic understanding of these things that I'm showing you here, or to go even deeper, you could actually take the crypto trading course where you can learn how to read the charts. That's in the description section as well. But my point is right here that the more that this condenses, let me see if I can pull out the drawing. Hopefully this works. The more that this condenses into, a kind of a closer parameter. All right. That brings us to this little area right here. And what I've seen in the past is that you can pretty much count the very tail end of this out because it always makes a decision one way or another before it gets to that little tiny, whatever's left. It forces, and that's probably why we had a breakout right here where it broke out of here, but it did not sustain. So now we're right smack dab in the middle of this, triangle, and it is going to have to make a decision here soon. We thought that it already had. So when you look at the charts of other coins, there's actually some different behaviors that are occurring. And so this could be very good for XRP, or it could be very bad. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that could be very bad for the people that are following the prophetic, because if you have been following what, God has been showing, and obviously that's to be determined by the fulfillment, right? We can all assume what's what and what God is saying and all these different things, but it all has to do with the fulfillment. And so what I'm sharing with you is that many of us who believe that we're stewarding the voice of the Lord, it's going to be very good for what God has shown. But I'm showing you this on the charts today because this is a very real position here, guys. And I'll be honest with you, as a trader, as an investor, or as one who is, trading, I would be honest with you. I would want to know at this point, why can I not get rid of these stupid things? Sorry, guys. Okay. As a, a person who wants to be investing the right way, would be seeing the charts where we're at today. In fact, oh, now I can't even draw it because it's gone somehow. Okay, whatever. So, but where we are right now is one of the most difficult places for most traders to be in, because this is when the emotions begin to try to take over. When you're at this crunch time and you're sitting there saying to yourself, this thing is being pushed and pushed and wedged and pressurized, where it is either going to pop or crash. And you're at this place where you're like, you know what this means. You know what this means. You know what this means. It either means this or it either means this. And you're at that place and you've got to know, and you've got to know. But then you have what I refer to, and I'll just limit it that way, what I refer to as this blessed assurance, Okay. And so I'm just telling you that there are strategies that you can use in order to mitigate your risk. There are voices that are speaking, that could be leading each and every one of us. That can be ourselves. That could be God. That could be the enemy. And so, we've been discussing this journey inside my private community for quite a while. We know where we stand. We know what the future holds. We may not see every part, but we definitely see many parts that the Lord has been showing. So I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm going to jump off this video. I just wanted to be sure to let you guys know that, what the charts are showing concerning XRP today. This is a very, very interesting place to be in. And so I'm just sharing this with you guys. One thing I could, show is the fact that, let's see. If I can pull up. Oh, you know what? This is a good one right here. Let's try this one. This is a good one right here. This is Solana. And this bad boy basically is that accurate? Hold on. let's just go with a shorter term. That's probably more accurate anyway, especially for the purpose of, and that's actually a great example of what I just was doing, because it did not display that same pattern on the, on the charts of that long-term resistance. So, but it did break out. It did break out. Solana has definitely had a confirmed breakout. There's some pullback today, obviously, but $91 is a very good position from where it was. But this is exactly what I'm talking about, is right here. You can see as these trend lines condense, when they get closer towards the edge, that's when they have to make a decision. Now, I will tell you that the fact that on the longer term, let me see if this actually, because it almost looks like there may be. No, it's really hard to say. But anyway, and maybe because that wasn't as strong, there is definitely one there. The more I keep looking at it. Yeah. And that's probably the longer it began to, consolidate on this, as it passed this point, the more that began to potentially wear out, I guess. I don't know. And this is where my expertise is not at that level. I would need another set of eyes to look at this and to tell me what I'm seeing. However, I do feel comfortable with this one here that I just made. And in fact, that actually, you can bring that back further and you can see how that actually plays out even as support right here, interestingly enough. And then it became resistance right here. See, it topped right here, topped right here, topped right here, and all this right here. So that right there is probably a much stronger support and resistance line. But as you could see, it broke out here, and that's what I was referring to. But what is interesting is that, Solana is in a different pattern, a different formation. Well, mainly because it broke out, but also because it didn't have as strong of that, long descending trend line that, XRP had. And this is why you have to look at these coins differently, because when it begins to get to these places of, the events as they unfold, playing out with differing factors, this is what can cause one coin to go up and another coin to go down. And so it's not necessarily, altcoin season where they're all going up. It's, so anyway, hope that makes sense. And so I'm just sharing this with you guys, as far as, what we're seeing on the charts, because we are in a very, very interesting position. And so I am interested, by the way, if anybody, where is this at here? Well, first of all, you can join my private community by going here. That is where we talk about these things. But there is another one that I was wanting to show you, that if you actually want to email me, if there's anything that you saw on those charts. Now, this is just because I was just looking at the comments, and, there's a lot of conversation. However, I want to know from someone that maybe has a little bit stronger technical analysis understanding. Email me. Tell me what you saw on those charts that maybe I didn't catch, or what have you, because I don't know. I just felt led to do that just now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. However, prophetically, I want to tell you that we have some very specific direction that, at least myself personally, is aiming towards. Not only that, but also specific price points. And that is, to me, the craziest thing. We were actually talking on a video inside my private community yesterday, potentially, I think it was yesterday. And we were talking about some specific maneuvers that were prophesied, some crypto pumps that were prophesied, and even, some crypto pumps that were, announced using technical analysis. I saw both happening in the crypto community. And what I thought was interesting is that both of them, those that had prophesied and those that had, used technical analysis to make those determinations. There were several people that got in. They made some profits, but many confessed that they obviously did the right thing and took profits, because you will never go wrong taking profits. But they said, I wish I would have known that it was going to do this, and because it would have been a lot more. And that was a video that I had done yesterday, I believe, and I was talking about, the beauty of when God gives actual price points, because it's not a guessing game. Everybody, the majority of people lose when they try to get out at, when they try to guess where the top is or the bottom, right? And that's where the majority of people will end up ruining it for themselves. And so to have specific price points is incredible. And we actually have an entire list inside the private community of prophetic dreams that I personally have been given. It's not financial or investment advice. It's to be prayerfully considered. And then you guys can determine if it's complete hogwash or if it's something that you believe that God is actually speaking personally by bearing witness or not, and then making whatever decisions you feel led based upon that and what you're hearing from the Lord personally. Amen. And that's what it's about. But for me, the specific opportunity of having received price points, and that's the thing, even when, if you guys remember, this happened to me last year. When God showed me selling everything because it was going to crash. And I had my first video announcement where I said I sold everything, and people were like, you are crazy. They're like, XRP will never be at this price point ever again. It ain't going below here, and you know how it went. But then I came out again and I said, guys, I'm sorry. I could not hold my position. And here's why. I said, number one, I need to get confirmation on this. As clear and as vivid as this dream was, to God be the glory, I did not see. I saw that I'm supposed to basically that it would come back up. What did I say? No, I don't remember exactly what I saw, but I did not get a price point because it was the next night that I saw the 240 to 140. But I said, there's two things. I need to get confirmation. And then the second thing is I did not see a price point of where to get in at. So it would be like, of course it's going to go down, but where to? And so I said, I have to pray and seek the Lord. And so I did. And I said, God, here's the deal. I know you showed me selling everything and I was obedient. But I ended up getting back in the market because you never showed me a price point. And then that next night, that very evening of praying, the following night of having the first dream, he showed me the 240 turning into 140. And then I think it might have been the first dream where I had seen it come back up to 250. But I knew that the 140 was the bottom. And in that October 10th crash that we had 5 months later, 140 was the very bottom on Kraken exchange. And we had people in my private community whose buy orders were filled, even though they were on Kraken, and that was the lowest price that it crashed to on Kraken. That's unheard of. That is absolutely unheard of. But to me, that signifies not only the accuracy of God, but how he rewarded their faith by allowing their buy orders to go through at the absolute lowest price that it even reached on that exchange in a flash crash. That is mind-blowing. But to God be the glory. And then, of course, it went down to $1.08 on KuCoin. It went down to $1.20 on, Binance, $1.20 on Bybit, so on and so forth. But wow, what amazing fulfillment, number one. But that's my point of why the price points, I personally believe, are so important. Because yes, we can see it's going to go down. Yes, we can see it's going to go up. But to where? Because like on January 15th, for example, of 2025, it reached its peak and then began to come down. And then it didn't meet that peak again or surpass it until what, June? I can't remember what month of last year. Let me take a look at the charts. July of last year, where XRP ended up topping out at around 366, 367. So that's why for me, it's like knowing, now I will add this. If you know prophetically that it's going up, or if you know prophetically it's going down, you could use various strategies that would include wisdom that, without a price point. You could stagger your buys or your sells. And so that's another way of doing it. But all that to say, I'm so thankful. And I just want to give God praise for all that he's doing. And so that's it. I'm going to get off here. I know I had said that earlier, but this time it's for real. And God bless you guys. But I felt like it was very important to show you guys this on the charts today. This is a very, very, intense moment for XRP. God bless you guys.